I really did try to make this a monthly upload channel, but you know, life gets in the way. I even had a Dua Lipa video script already finished, yet I've had no time to record it, and I've only just found time to record this. So without further ado, without any more chit chat, these are the top 10 albums of 2020. At number 10 we have JoJo, Good to Know. The story of JoJo is complicated, one that exposes how the industry treats musicians by holding them hostage in record deals and not letting them release any music. Thankfully, JoJo escaped and has released 2 new albums since leaving, Mad Love and Good to Know. Good to Know is her best album. It's a slick R&B album which showcases many layers of JoJo's vocals, going soulful on the closing track, Don't Talk Me Down, using her softer tone on Small Things, and her low register on So Bad. The album experiments with different styles of R&B. The song Gold is a 90s inspired song. Comeback with Tory Lanez and 30 Rock is more modern, along with So Bad, which have these darker mid-tempo productions. Although she did release the deluxe version of this album, it doesn't have the same cohesiveness as the standard edition. Aside from What You Need, which is a great 90s hip-hop influenced song, I would stick with the original. At number 9 we have Lauv with How I'm Feeling. Lauv is one of the most interesting artists out there today. His debut compilation album, I Met You When I Was 18, The Playlist, was a solid piece of work, and he wrote and produced every single song on that project. And the same goes for this project. How I'm Feeling is an interesting listen. Although it doesn't have the same flow as his last project, it is still a fascinating album. The 21-song album shows off different styles, which is due to the album's themes, as he presents different sides of himself. Basically, if the film Inside Out was made into an album and certified 15, it would be this album. Although I think the album has too many songs on it, I will definitely praise it for being interesting and changing it up. And the fact that he talks about mental health so honestly on songs such as Sad Forever and Modern Loneliness is amazing. The album talks about different themes such as growing up with songs like Invisible Things, Drugs in the Internet, and Lonely Eyes. And he talks about love, but from different sides. He has the good part with Tattoos Together, For Now, the confusing parts with Who featuring BTS, and Mean It with Lani, and the bad parts with Julia and Sweatpants. The album could be seen as being a bit clustered, but it's an album worth listening to, and a great start to a promising career. At number 8 we have Taylor Swift with Folklore. Taylor Swift is an amazing songwriter, there's no denying that. However, there are some songs in her discography that miss the landing, and although the lyrical content is there, it doesn't make a lasting impression. However, with this album, her lyrical game increased a lot and reached new heights, and I think it's because, for a change, she wasn't talking about her own life. Folklore shows off Taylor's strength in storytelling as she flips the lens and approaches these songs from a third-person perspective. There are some beautiful songs on here like Exile featuring Bon Iver, Cardigan, and The One, which are amazing, but where her storytelling peaks, I think, is in The Last Great American Dynasty, where she tells the story of Rebecca Harkness, the woman who owned the house Taylor currently now owns, but who was also talked about a lot when she was alive, much like Taylor has been for the last few years of her career. This album really isn't an easy listen because it's very slow. Each song is very long as well, it averages around 4 minutes per song, and it's a big departure from the pop albums like Lover and 1989. Also, something to really praise this album about is that it was made during lockdown, which is amazing, and it will likely go down as one of the most influential albums of the decade. And she also made the sister album Evermore, which is good, it has some good songs on it like Nobody No Crime and Willow, but it doesn't have the same charm as Folklore. But nonetheless, both albums are really good, but Folklore is just a little bit better. At number 7 we have The Weeknd with After Hours. Blinding Lights by The Weeknd was the biggest song of the year, and is already one of the most iconic songs of all time. The album is also very good and so dark. After Hours is by far one of the best male albums in recent years, so cohesive and blends many styles of R&B and dance, and doesn't make it sound out of place. The R&B side of the album, which includes songs like Heartless, Too Late, and Snowchild, all showcase his signature dark lyrics and production he is known for. The other side of the album is the new wave sound of the 70s and 80s, with songs such as Scared to Live, which is an 80s inspired ballad about not being afraid to find love after a breakup. And then you have the 80s inspired synth songs such as Save Your Tears, In Your Eyes, and Blinding Lights. The album sounds like a psychedelic experience and resembles a soundtrack to a very dark relationship gone wrong. The music video represents the Sin City theme throughout, where each video represents a different side of the Weeknd. The only thing wrong with this album is that it was not nominated for a single Grammy, despite it being the most successful and most impactful of not only the year, but I would say of the decade as well. At number 6, we have Lady Gaga with Chromatica. This album is a return to form for Lady Gaga as she returns to the dance world. After releasing a jazz album with Tony Bennett Cheek to Cheek in 2014, an alternative pop album Joanne in 2016, and the soundtrack to A Star Is Born in 2018, she finally returned to the music that made her a star, but with a twist. The production of this album is very electric and upbeat, but the lyrics are complete opposite as they talk about depression, pain, failed romance, and loneliness. The album is the definition of dancing through the pain. Chromatica is a concept album separated into 3 parts. Each part sees her go through trials and errors to finally find peace. You have songs like Rain On Me featuring ARIANA Grande, where they discuss emotional pain they have, but they're not going to let it defeat them, whether it means they have to cry about it or drink to help them get up. Similar themes are on the song 911, which has a very poppy production but dark lyrics, about having a self-defeating mentality and needing to pop a 911, which refers to an antipsychotic medication to help her control her mind. This album has a lot of different sounds, but continues on the same theme of mental health. Songs such as Fun Tonight, Replay, and Babylon, as well as the previous named tracks, are the best songs on this album, and Chromatica is about seeing the color through the darkest time, which is something we all had to do in 2020. At number 5, we have Dua Lipa with Future Nostalgia. The most fun and uplifting album of the year was Future Nostalgia, which brought back fun into pop music and disco into the mainstream. Although the album talks about heartbreak on songs such as Don't Start Now, Love Again, and even Break My Heart, they are executed amazingly. The production value on this project is brilliant, and Physical being the best song on this album due to its anthemic production and presence. Future Nostalgia is leaps and bounds ahead of her debut self-titled album, which was very successful and had some really good songs on it, but it felt more like a playlist and less like a cohesive project, which Future Nostalgia represents. The album represents different styles of pop and dance music, with Hallucinate being this psychedelic house track, Cool having this summery funky bass sound, and Levitating has this amazing 90s pop punk glitter sound, which is designed for the clubs. This is the album clubs can't wait to start playing. At number 4, we have Alec Benjamin with These Two Windows. This album may not be my most listened to album of the year, but it's the one I made the biggest connection with. Alec Benjamin has this gift of storytelling and translating emotion in his music. The production in his songs are very minimalistic, as he has this electro-acoustic sound. Most of his songs mainly contain acoustic instruments which blend well with his soft vocals. I would say this album is the acoustic version of Lady Gaga's Chromatica, because firstly, they were released on the same day, but also they discuss similar topics on both albums like mental health, loneliness, and failed romance. Oh My God was the best song of 2020. It's about losing yourself and reaching your breaking point. The song has the best production he's ever had on a song, with a vocalizer effect on the chorus to add distortion in his voice to emphasize the point that he doesn't recognize himself anymore. Other songs on this album, such as Demons, Mine is a Prison, and Not a Cynic, are all songs that a lot of people can see themselves in. Demons is about having problems, but having that someone to help you from losing your mind. Mine is a Prison about being stuck in your own head and being unable to escape. And Not a Cynic is about those days where nothing's going right and you're sad, but it's fine because you can have those days from time to time. Another highlight is the song Match in the Rain, which is about a relationship that is failing, and although he wants her to stay and love him, he knows it's impossible and it's over to save her. It's a well-written song, and the production again is very minimalistic, with a piano synth driving the song, which is subtle, but you can really pay attention to the lyrics. This debut album is incredible. The lyrics and delivery are emotive and just amazing, and that's why it's my favorite male album of 2020. At number 3 is Rina Sawayama with Sawayama. What a way to make an entrance. The debut album by Rina Sawayama is absolutely magnificent and one of the best debut albums of all time. We've talked about how albums on this list have combined different genres together, and this project also does it. But it does it so many different ways that on paper it shouldn't work, but on this album it sounds like a masterpiece. Excess is one of the standout tracks, and it mocks capitalism while blending 90s 2000s pop music with heavy metal at the same time. SCFU is an aggressive rock song with an avant pop chorus. Tokyo Love Hotel and Bad Friend are both amazing 80s synth pop ballads, and Who's Gonna Save You Now is an amazing rock song that makes you feel like a rock star with all the live elements, including a live crowd and loud live instruments to make the experience more realistic. This album showcases so many different things Rina Sawayama can do. Her songwriting is amazing, her vocal ability is also great on songs like Dynasty and Chosen Family, and she's not afraid to experiment with different sounds. So songs like Akasaka Sad and Comme Danson, like The Boys, are all very different weird pop sounds. It's an amazing album, it's so fun, exciting, and I can't wait to see what she does next. At number 2 we have Selena Gomez and Rare. This album was released at the very beginning of 2020, and it's felt like a lifetime since it came out, even though it's literally just been a year. Rare is an album about self-discovery after a hard time, which is certainly what Selena has been through in the past 4 or 5 years with her lupus and her mental health. Rare is an incredible pop album which showcases Selena Gomez's growth as an artist. Although her vocal range isn't as wide and skilled as her peers like Miley Cyrus and Ariana Grande, it is impressive to see how she continues to grow and develop her songs further. The album talks about love, heartbreak, and mental health, as well as finding your way back to happiness, with the closing song on the standard album, A Sweeter Place with Kid Cudi. This heavy synth R&B pop song talks about finding that happy place after going through a rough time, and it's one of the most interesting songs of her career. Selena showcases her growth vocally on songs like Lose You to Love Me, Crowded Room with Black, and Kinda Crazy. And the production on this album, although not as evolved as the last album Revival, but it still experiments with different styles, with the Latin flair on Ring and Let Me Get Me, or even the funky disco song Dance Again. And the best production on this album comes on the album highlight Vulnerable, which is this tropical warm disco song. This album is personal, cathartic, and really amazing, even though the deluxe edition had some amazing songs. And although this album could have been labeled as forgotten because it's released very early on at the very beginning of a very traumatic and confusing year and wasn't promoted very much at all, Rare is still a career-defining album for Selena Gomez, and my second favorite album of the year. And our number 1 album of 2020 is Miley Cyrus' Plastic Hearts. Miley Cyrus is an icon. You may be listening to this and questioning how is that possible, but you're probably ignoring the obvious. She was Hannah Montana, one of the biggest Disney characters of all time, and has since had a long career going for the last 15 years. With 7 albums under her belt, we've seen her cross through several different genres. Her first few releases were under the typical Disney pop rock sound, with songs like 7 Things, See You Again, and Party in the USA, before maturing her style on her 3rd album, Can't Be Tamed. It was with the release of Bangers where she completely flipped the script, exploring a more urban sound, which received a polarizing response. She took another drastic turn with her free album Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets, an experimental psychedelic pop album which is just weird. She calmed down a bit with the release of a country pop album, Younger Now, which showcased her maturity as a vocalist and songwriter. But that didn't last too long, as we saw her go back to her urban roots a bit with the album She Is Coming, and now, with Plastic Hearts, she's turned into a modern day Stevie Nicks. Her latest album, Plastic Hearts, is a modern day glam rock album, something that could have been released in the 90s, early 2000s, alongside Pink, Alanis Morissette, and Avril Lavigne, and fit right in. It's an honest album which sees her discuss her public image on songs like Golden G-String, Hate Me, and What the Fuck Do I Know, and also points out her own flaws on Angels Like You and Never Be Me. The production value on this album is high and seems vintage in a way. The album's aesthetic with the album cover and the music videos seems very 90s edgy glam rock, and she has rock legends on this album such as Joan Jett on Bad Karma and Billy Idol on one of the best songs on this album, Night Crawling. For the first time, it seems like Miley Cyrus is being taken seriously by everyone. Plastic Hearts is a rebellious album with the hard rock punk songs like What the Fuck Do I Know, Give Me What I Want, and Hate Me. But she seems comfortable and isn't looking for a wrecking ball or a foam finger to make her look like an adult, because the music is doing it for her. This is Miley's best album, and it was the best release of 2020. So there we have it. Those were my top 10 favorite albums of 2020, and I hope you enjoyed. Do you agree with my picks? Probably not, so tell me down below. I have a few others that I kind of like that I will put in the link below under an honourable mentions tab, and if you want to talk about them, just ask me in the comments and I'll try and do it. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. What else do you want to see from me? I need some ideas. And if you want to see more of me, I have two ways you can do that. One is my main channel, which is always linked here, and also you can find me on the channel Shoebox. Now Shoebox is a blog where we report on some news in terms of sports, music, TV, politics, etc. And we also have a podcast, which I think is really, really good. So check it out, I'm linking that on the screen. So whichever podcast it is, you should listen to it, it's really good. So thanks for watching, so see you later.